The Clone Wars continue ever onward, and this time our journey takes us closer to the end of Season 6 and to a comic of an arc that never was. Come with me as I continue to watch through the Clone Wars for the first time. Well, hello there! My name's Jeremy and welcome back to Freeform Disney, where I talk about all aspects of Disney, from the animated movies to the theme parks to Star Wars, Marvel, and Pixar, and the TV shows, and everything else in between. And that is why it's Freeform. And keep coming back every day for new daily content. If you're not subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Today we're going to quickly blitz through a 2-episode arc of Season 6, a Jar Jar arc. And then we're going to go through the Darth Maul, Son of Dathomir arc, which apparently would have originally been a 4-episode arc of the show if not for the show's cancellation. Now I have to say thank you so much to Ethan Deliso, Paul Griffin, Grumpy Dad 14, and Crimson Striker for suggesting that I read it, and especially to Trey Goldsworthy for pointing me to the wonderful audio comic of the arc up on YouTube. Thank you so much, definitely well worth watching. And without any further ado, let's jump on into those first 2 episodes. So first we're up to the 8th episode of Season 6, The Disappeared. Well, when I first got into this, I remember thinking, well, this is a weird one off the bat, and I can't tell why the heck Jar Jar would somehow be involved in this one. Although apparently it's because he had a relationship with the queen of that planet of Bardata, and yeah, apparently that's where we went with that one. But apparently the whole elders are disappearing. They contacted the Senate for help, but they don't trust the Jedi because they thought the Jedi were kidnapping their children. Yeah, you know. I can see the Jedi getting thought to be kidnapping people. Well, anywho, Mace Windu and Jar Jar Binks, our dynamic duo, are off there to head over to Bardata. I guess the idea is kind of a buddy cop kind of thing, going there to go investigate the crime. And that way you set Jar Jar and Mace as 2 people who really shouldn't work together. And, I mean, that kind of idea isn't bad off the bat. I'm not going to say that it really works here, but, yeah, you know. I mean, we run into things that they just don't work great. Like Mace Windu, who apparently has no patience to actually wait and find out what's going on. I mean, it's back to more the idea of him being the person completely fed up with Jar Jar. But I don't know that it's really his character to act that way. Anyway. So at any rate, eventually the queen gets disappeared too, and well, they're gonna have to go investigate and find out that there's an ancient prophecy from an ancient clan in an ancient temple beneath the current one that they're in, and nobody who ever goes here comes back alive. Woo! So we pretty much could have gone down there from the beginning because we already knew where everything was happening. Just no one wanted to talk about it. And so we head down there, Jar Jar gets disappeared too, and well, luckily he has his communicator, so that way Mace Windu can track him all the way down. And I guess they're stealing the Force from within people and taking it out, and it gets moved over into this cool green glowy ball. I guess the whole idea is that this will help bring back their demonic ruler or something of their prophecy. And hey, they just have to get the essence of the queen and then darkness will fall. And apparently that's all they need. Well, Mace comes in for the rescue. We have a big old fight that goes on, and apparently Mace, who finally got tired of playing on hard mode, goes ahead and shoves Jar Jar off to safety and pulls out his lightsaber. After spending a while not doing either of those 2 things. I guess when you're up against easy people like this, you've got to try to up the difficulty a little bit first before pulling out the good stuff. After all, what's the fun of being Mace Windu otherwise? Well, anyway, our bad guys escape, they take the queen, and that's the end of that episode. Woo! So, certainly not the worst Jar Jar episode, but not starting out very good for that arc either. And onward we go, let's move on to the second half and just keep rolling right on through. So we're off to a new planet, or a moon, I'm not sure which. And then we have the cultists are talking about the Great Mother to whom they're going to transfer the living force in the orb. Which is all green. Definitely gotta say, it's Mother Talzin, isn't it? Great Mother? Green? Yeah, that's probably it. Mace and Jar Jar actually do get a decent moment as far as in the ship while Mace is looking through the force and seeing the markets, the streets. Jar Jar's like, yeah, me too, I see that. I mean, it's one of the few moments I thought that the comedy between the two actually worked. Just most of the time, I wasn't a fan. Just didn't think it worked very well. I'm gonna ask, those helmeted cultists, are those our lizard people, the Pikes? Is that what they are? They've got green necks, maybe the right shape of head? I don't think we ever see one without the helmet on, so I really have no idea. And hey, look, there's a Tuca, the little cat-like creature again. That's cool. And, well, Jar Jar's being an ever-popular annoyance and making Mace's life much harder during the chase and fight sequence. Surprise, surprise. Well, no, not really. And hey, guess what? Mother Talzin steps off of a ship onto the planet. Woo! I probably would have guessed that even sooner than the beginning of this episode, if I had really cared to try to figure it out sooner. Gotta be honest, I didn't really. But that's okay. And yay, now they've got this magical new delaying contraption thing to take the Queen's essence that will give our heroes time to rescue her. And so our heroes get there, they fight off a bunch of guards, and they go into the main spot itself. We get this, well, we do get an interesting fight between Mother Talzin and Mace Windu, where she makes a green sword out of magic to go ahead and essentially have a lightsaber duel fight with Mace. That's kind of fun. And while they do, Jar Jar is free to just go save the Queen. And, well, then it all backfires, and I guess Mother Talzin is dead or gone or something at the end of this one, or just dispersed again. I don't know. We end with the three, the Queen, Jar Jar, and Mace riding off into the distance. Beautiful shot, really. Not that I feel it's an earned shot. So, yeah, there we go. That was the 2-episode arc. And I gotta say, I think bringing in Mother Talzin and using her for such a cheap plot device where she's then easily beaten, I just think that cheapens her character. But, aside from that, this episode was similar to the last. Largely, I just didn't care about it. But it wasn't actively bad, as a general note. Yeah, that's really all I care to say about this 2-episode arc. It's just not worth the time beyond this. So let's move along to something that is worth the time to talk about. So this is the Darth Maul, Son of Dathomir comic. In this case, I went ahead and watched it over on Loremaster's YouTube channel, and that is featuring Star Wars audio comics. And so this was a comic published by Dark Horse Comics, written by Jeremy Barlow. And what they did was they used the 4 scripts that had been written for a 4-episode arc for Clone Wars that just never got made into one because of the cancellation. And they turned that into a 4-issue comic, short one right there. And yeah, here we go. So off the bat, the way they put this together is to definitely emulate the idea of a Clone Wars episode and how it starts, which I liked that. That was cool. First off, we got a reminder about the Shadow Collective and how everything had gone for Maul before, and Palpatine, well, beating them and killing his brother. Yeah, poor Savage. So this means at this point that Darth Sidious, Dooku, and Maul are off at Stygian, over at a prison over in the Separatist territory. And ooh, right off the bat, what an impressive choice they made for who they were having do the voice for Dooku. There's definitely a Christopher Lee-esque Dooku right there. Not the show's Clone War Dooku, but our actual movie Dooku. And the voices in here altogether, nice job, nice job. Anyway, we find out that, hey, it is time to deal with Mother Talzin. So Palpy talks about how Maul came to him as a child, something he didn't appreciate apparently. And he considers it spite from her and that she spited him for such a long time. But hey, he's done with that and he wants to make sure that she doesn't interfere with their plans for the galaxy. And we also find out that the Hutts have now abandoned Darth Maul, but Black Sun and the Pikes are still sticking with the Shadow Collective for the moment. Anywho, we can see Count Dooku attempting to torture information out of Maul. Not that he's having much luck with that at the moment. Can't imagine that Darth Maul is going to be easy to torture information out of. But hey, give enough time, right? But that's one thing he doesn't get, because Death Watch pops in and rescues Darth Maul, which is a fun little bit. I'd love to see that actually have become animated into the Clone Wars, because that would have been a fun little rescue in there. But that's not something we ended up getting. Well, anyway, Maul dashes off to Zanbar, and then Grievous is dispatched to go attack Zanbar. But the idea is not actually to go ahead and kill Darth Maul. No, they just want to crush him and hurt him really badly. because they need him to go ahead and draw at Mother Talzin. Essentially, they need to make it so he pretty much has nowhere else to turn and he must actually talk to Mother Talzin. Well, the battle goes pretty much as planned. Grievous sends everything at Darth Maul and the Mandalorians over there, and they take heavy, heavy losses. Actually, both sides take heavy losses. Grievous even talks about how he came close to losing that one. But ultimately, Maul did and retreated after having taken heavy losses in there. Oh, speaking of fights, it would have been fun to watch. It was good in here too, but would have been so cool to see that one up on the screen. And that's the end of part 1 right there, or what would have been the first episode. And hey, I think if it were an episode by itself, I think that would have been a pretty decent one right there. It very much has the feel of a first episode. Can't say as it would be one of those top ranked ones from me or anything, but yeah, no, as I said, perfectly good start with a bunch of interesting threads to follow. Well, we move into part 2, and we get to see Darth Maul and Mother Talzin talking. And apparently, as I said, both sides are really playing each other here, or is trying to play each other. Because for them, they are purposely trying to draw Sidious out, so they're actually happy with the fact Sidious got drawn out over to Mandalore in the first place, even though that led to Savage's death. Now, they actually have an idea of what's going on there from the other side, but they think they have the upper hand and they're going to go ahead and play it off on Ord Mantell. Because Ord Mantell is where Black Sun has one of their strong bases, and no, you better bet Mother Talzin ain't going to go meet Darth Maul there. No, she's smart enough not to do that. But nevertheless, there will be some aid from Dathomir, and they're going to go ahead and try to go capture people like Dooku. Yo. Well, we head over to Ord Mantell. We see some conversations between, say, some of the Pikes down there and Darth Maul, who, they don't seem the most sure of the plan, but they're going with it. I mean, who the heck turns on Darth Maul to his face anyway, right? Well, a decoy transport ship, although I guess it's not really fully a decoy. It's only a decoy in the sense that Mother Talzin's not actually on that transport ship. But anyway, it gets sent from Dathomir, which gets Dooku and Grievous to launch the attack on Ord Mantell, thinking that Talzin must be on her way. Well, and that means the fight is ready to start. And, here's another one of those big fights that you really could have shown up on the screen. So apparently one of our new Night Brothers that we're really going to care about is Brother Viscus, who popped off that transport ship as the main person there, along with a few other Night Brothers. And so we get to see a bunch of that fighting down on the ground, and then up in space. Well, Grievous starts to get suspicious about the lack of warships that were attacking him. Just not soon enough, because it's shortly before they attack an ambush. But meanwhile, the Night Brothers ambush Dooku down below, so we've got ambushes everywhere. Although Dooku doesn't exactly seem overly worried about that ambush. And frankly, that fight down between the Night Brothers and Dooku is an enjoyable one. That would have been fun to go see that one animated. The sparring, the lightning. Oh yeah. Well, back up in space, Darth Maul gets on that command ship and captures Grievous. Which is pretty cool, how rarely we've seen Grievous actually get captured at all through the course of the series. And that ends up leading to him forcing him to disconnect the command signal for the droids on the planet. And that leads to an interesting question I have on the command signal. I know we've made it so the droids are far more independent here once we're into the Clone Wars, but they still seem to need some kind of command signal where we could just disable all of them just like that? Or is that just a special thing with this set of droid troops that were down there? I'm really unclear of what to fully think on that one. At any rate, that leads to a last-minute rescue for the remainder of Maul's beleaguered troops down on the surface, which will then lead to a last-minute rescue of Brother Viscus, who looks like he was the last one in that fight against Dooku and was about to die when he was rescued by the other ground forces. Cascading last-minute rescues right there. Well, anywho, this time the episode ends with Darth Maul having captured both Count Dooku and General Grievous. And you just go, whoa! Wow, what an ending to part 2 right there. The Jedi only wish they could have ever accomplished that. Dang, if the Jedi had ever accomplished both capturing Dooku and Grievous during the course of the Clone Wars. How interesting. Yeah, no, good episode here, or good issue, however you want to put that. And, oh man, I wish we'd gotten to see this up on the screen. Well, that moves us on to part 3. And I do know the title to this one. This is Proxy War, apparently. Well, we open with ever popular Insidious Palpatine, who's busy telling the Jedi about Dooku and Maul having fought on Ord Mantell via intelligence reports he's received. This leads to the Jedi wanting to use the situation to capture both of them, because hey, now we can capture Dooku and Maul. Oh, you Jedi, you play right into Palpatine's hands left and right. This is a predictable one. Yeah, of course the Jedi are going to play into Palpatine's hands on that one. You have an opportunity like that, wouldn't you, if you were the Jedi? Oh, what a mess. Well, so we get to move over and we see Mace Windu, Obi-Wan, and Jedi Master Tipley all talking. Which, hey, off the bat, yay, we get to see Master Tipley again. And I kind of wonder, does that mean the death of her sister is going to come up at all in this? Because that should be fairly recent still at this point, I think. Oh, and hey, we also see Ayla Secura also in here too. Well, unsurprisingly, the Jedi don't want Mandalore to fall into Separatist hands and, well, really the whole other problem there too, and the opportunity to go capture Dooku and Maul. So time for a mission. Well, meanwhile, though, we get this great conversation between Darth Maul and Palpatine talking by hologram. Lord Tyrannus, you disappoint me. Yeah. Maul getting to gloat just a little bit. Hey, you couldn't even foresee the trap I laid for them. Your schemes are unraveling. Palpatine, not giving in to any of that. That only shows their weakness, not my own. Well, assuming you weren't expecting all that, it might be a bit of your weakness too, Mr. I foresee everything. And Maul, busy talking, is still just kind of gloating more, but he's also performing a lot for Dooku, who's in front of him. Probably Grievous a bit too. Talking about, hey, how he's going to go throw away those two just like he threw Maul away and how he threw Mother Talzin away as an ally. Which Palpatine, again, doesn't really give in. He pretty much says, yeah, of course, man. You kill them. I have no more use for either of them. Yeah, so, no, it was a fun conversation between Palpatine and Maul. Maul both gloating and trying to perform in front of Dooku and trying to make a point, see if he can get through to them, it seems. But yeah, it's so interesting how Palpatine chooses to respond to that. Well, pretty much say, yeah, I am who I am. They know. Yeah, you can go kill him. Yeah, sure. Not why people follow Palpatine right there anyway. So he doesn't really get the progress I think he wanted to get out of that. And so Grievous gets sent to the brig, but Darth Maul talks to Dooku one-on-one, or at least one thinks it'll be one-on-one. Because in this case, well, it's not just Maul here, because Mother Talzin gets brought in too. So it's the two of them and Dooku. And hey, we get the ever-popular classic line of churning people. So Maul gets the line about our combined strength. Mother Talzin gets to go ahead and have the join us. Together we can destroy Sidious and rule the galaxy line. Okay, not set over the top like that, but point being. We also get an interesting piece in there when Mother Talzin tells Dooku that Palpatine had promised her to be his right hand. Well, that clearly didn't happen. Because apparently Sidious had sensed the power of her son Darth Maul and stole him. Well, that sounds right up Palpatine's alley right there. Hey, look, someone's stronger. Yeah, screw you, you're gone. You're not useful to me anymore. Yeah, I believe that. Not that you can ever fully trust different people in here for their own stories, but it syncs up with what we know. Well, in the meantime, our people are on the way, so Tipley and Obi-Wan are talking. Just a quick little conversation about Obi-Wan's turmoil, considering Satine's death and how that would affect him coming back up to face Maul again after this, after his complete and abject failure he had last time. But again, it's a really brief conversation. And so, hey, in come the Jedi over to the base in the asteroids, which is a cool looking base off the bat. And back on the base over in the asteroids, there's a little bit of deception going on there because Dooku used the Force to free Grievous. Nice deception there, Count. Perhaps he's not so useless after all, as Grievous would say. Not quite the voice Grievous would use, it'd be a little bit different, but you get the idea. Well, we have a big ol' space battle, and Obi-Wan and Tipley get into the hangar. Meanwhile, Grievous gets off onto an escape pod, and Dooku chooses to kill some Jedi with Maul instead of Death. Wise decision indeed. Why wouldn't he, right? Regardless of whether he's really wanted to work with Maul. Then Mace Windu and Ayla Secura show up with some more reinforcements, and we've got this big ol' fight between the Jedi and the Sith. Which, again, speaking of things that you'd love to see having actually been animated up on the screen, this would have been nice. And, well, then, in the course of the battle, Count Dooku kills Jedi Master Tipley. Gotta say, I can't say that I'm overly surprised by that one. Speaking of Jedi that we don't see in the course of episode 3, and her sister's already dead, yeah. She was kind of odd one out here, considering we know all 3 of the others are alive in episode 3, so if anyone is gonna die, yeah. Still sad, though. Still sad. Would have loved to have seen more out of the 2 of them, because we didn't really get to see much before we introduced them right there in the 5's arc, so, would have been nice. Just always like to see more Jedi, and more Jedi who are different, maybe from different walks of life, just to get an idea of what the Jedi are fully like, rather than just the tiny bit of what we've seen. Anyway. So, anywho, Maul and Dooku and some men retreat, and then we get to this really, really interesting ending. So we get to see Mace Windu talking with Palpatine at the end. And oh, wow, what a painfully wrong conclusion the Jedi reach. So Mace saw Count Dooku and Darth Maul working together and fighting them. And so, well, how do you interpret this? Well, maybe that solves their long-standing mystery of who the Sith Master was that they've been seeking all along. Because it's Count Dooku and Maul is the apprentice. Oh, ow. Ow. And Palpatine, smartly, as he always tends to be, doesn't fully just play straight into it. He points out the question of, hey, still there's no explanation for the battle on Ord Mantell. How can they be enemies and now allies? A deception, perhaps, says Mace? Oh. Yeah. Would you ever suspect that Palpatine of all people is actually the person? No, not until it's far, far too late. And that's the end of part 3 right there. And just, oof. Wow. I mean, so much great stuff here in this one. If this had been made into an episode, this very well might have gotten a nice full 10 out of 10 for me. Certainly would be one of my favorite episodes if it had gotten made into one. And I gotta say, this also seems to be truly one of the most precarious moments that would have arisen for Palpatine and his plans. Even if Dooku appears to have not truly wavered, but still, what if he had? I mean, this would be one of those what-if moments where if Dooku had actually flipped on Palpatine, then things would have really spiraled out of control for him right there. And there's so much interesting conversations back and forth, getting to watch Palpatine scramble a bit. There's a lot of intriguing things going on here. Definitely loved this one. So that takes us on to the 4th and final part of this arc. So we see the Pikes and the Black Sun are starting to worry just a little bit about whether all of this is going to end up profitable. That Shadow Collective, not seeming quite so strong anymore. Which, this unsurprisingly annoys Darth Maul. Like, come on guys, stick with. Once Sidious is taken out, I mean, the galaxy is going to be mine for the taking. We'll get to have everything. That'll get you your damn money. Well, and then we get Maul and Dooku talking a bit, and, well, Dooku just trying to gloat as an ally of, you're learning the season control is much easier than maintaining it. But Maul already knows that Dooku's just been playing along with Sidious's blessing, so, yeah, so much for that. Which I love that Maul was wise enough to see through it. Makes sense. Back to the power battle that we really have between the two sides here. So really, whether it was Maul or Taliesin that more was looking at that and seeing it, who knows? That really, the one side saw through it is more the point here. So Darth Maul heads to Dathomir, taking Count Dooku to the heart of Mother Taliesin's power to take revenge on Dooku. I gotta say off the bat, now that sounds bad. That sounds like it could be part of Palpy's plan right there. You just took Dooku to the heart of her power. Yeah, that sounds scary. And guess what? We don't have to wait very long because, yep, that was indeed. Apparently Sidious and Grievous were tracking Dooku's signal in a Sith ship, kind of like the one Maul had back in episode 1. Not kind of, like it is exactly the same type of Sith ship. I can't think of the name of that Sith ship off the top of my head, but hey, that one, which can also nicely cloak. Yeah, and you just let him right there. Ooh, ouch. Down on the planet, Maul says that draining Count Dooku will give Talzin all the power to become fully formed again, but she will be weakened by the process. Oh, if there are red flags going off for you there, that should give some. Weakened by the process, huh? And hey, look, here comes Sidious and Grievous. Oh, this is going to go really well. And we get some talking between Maul and Dooku, and there's some interesting stuff in there. Talking about witches don't die so easily, and how Mother sacrificed much of her own form to resurrect me. This is why you've been unable to detect her. For her, a complete and permanent return to the physical realm requires great sacrifice, etc. Interesting pieces in there. We're talking about resurrecting him. So Mother Talzin escaped the original attack and then after that had to rebuild Maul's legs. But if we're talking about the much earlier resurrection of Maul himself, but yeah, no, it's an interesting point on why she's not fully corporeal, shall we say. But at any rate, this is only going to become more messy here. Boom, an explosion. In pops Grievous. And, well, also Palpatine too. Palpatine. No matter how many times you fail, you never learn the lesson, Maul. There's only one plan, one great design which shall govern the universe. Mine. Okay. Well, I'm not sure if that's the lesson he's not learning. I mean, I'm sure there are lessons he is missing, but just the one that Palpatine is always right, well, that might not be the lesson. I guess the lesson is that all Sith are incredibly arrogant and think they're always going to be right. I mean, I guess you could say that's the lesson he's not learning. So maybe he should be a little less arrogant and maybe he wouldn't fall for some of the traps he does. Yeah, there you go. Well, meanwhile, while things are happening down here on Dathomir, Maul's Shadow Collective is falling apart. The partners are each being attacked simultaneously by armadas while Maul is occupied on Dathomir. How convenient that is. They just happen to be attacked by armadas while Maul is not available. Wonder who might have planned that. Right. Yeah, nicely done. Well, anywho, we get to see all of them pop up their lightsabers, and oh, this would be fun. Maul with the dark saber in this case, not his classic double-ended red lightsaber. But then Palpatine's got his, Grievous has his couple. And then Mother Talzin takes control of Dooku, and his lightsaber is up in this battle as well. So, oh man, this would be one heck of a lightsaber duel to really see pop up. Well, the tide starts to turn in this whole battle. First off, just because, well, Mother Talzin controlling Dooku is just nowhere near as good as Count Dooku would actually be in battle. So Palpatine definitely goes ahead and wins there. Granted, Palpatine could have beaten Dooku anyway in a battle. Even more so in this case. So Talzin ends up releasing his body and she ends up taking physical form. I think I would have gone with staying incorporeal and staying away from all that at this point. Yeah. And meanwhile, Darth Maul's Shadow Collective, well, now it finishes fracturing. They are gone for good. The Pikes, Black Sun, they are out. Yeah, so much for all that. And Death Watch themselves seem to also be under attack now at this point. Yeah, Palpy, you definitely had your plans all around, huh? Never count him out without the elaborate plans, right? Well, anyway, back over on Dathomir, Maul seems to be beating Grievous and wins that fight. And then we get into this big Force lightning battle. And Dooku pops back in here, so he's part of this lightning battle as well. So it's Dooku and Palpatine on the one side, Mother Talzin on the other, just kind of absorbing / shielding it, and well, this is more than she can really handle. So Mother Talzin saves Darth Maul one last time, shoves him away far out of this battle, and Death Watch takes him away from the planet. And, well, that's going to be the end of Mother Talzin this time. So she finally dies, and it seems like this one is a for real final death here this time around. Yeah. Good death, by the way, I'll just say right off the bat. Definitely mistakes that were made on the process to get to that point, right? Well, that's not quite the end, because we have one final conversation between Palpatine and Dooku in here. Palpatine getting to gloat a little, talking about, oh, well, her existence was nothing but a dream, therefore she doesn't get to go ahead and have power. Haha. Something like that. And then Dooku begs for forgiveness because Maul slipped away again, and Palpatine's like, no, Count. Everything happened as foreseen. This was a difficult piece to maneuver, but now it is in place. Maul's future has been erased, while ours is more certain than it has ever been. Now, I gotta say, I don't think you fully foresaw all of this going the way you did, but hey, I mean, appearances have to be kept, right? You gotta make sure everyone thinks you're really foreseeing every bit of this going the way you're saying. Yeah, I don't think you really did. I mean, you foresaw pieces of this, I'm sure Palpatine did. I'm sure there's also arrogance in there too. But no, definitely. Again, wow. I mean, you look at this, really, there are so many moments where that could have twisted and things could have spiraled out of his control here in ways that I think are well beyond what happened in the Fives arc with that whole Order 66 thing. But yeah, no, obviously they clearly did not. And yes, we get to see Palpatine responding to problems, and we don't get to see that often enough to Palpatine having to scramble a little bit. Although, frankly, we shouldn't see that too much during the course of the Clone Wars, or that would cheapen the whole thing anyway. But at any rate, it's interesting to see it happen. So, anywho, this episode here, if this had been animated again and part of the actual Clone Wars, this was another one that probably had a good shot of being another 10 out of 10 with all of the pieces going on in here. There were good fights in this, good conversations, etc., etc. The implications on the larger universe. Yeah, no, this definitely, this could have been one of my favorite arcs of Clone Wars if it had actually been made. I gotta say, wish it had. Dang. So let me also say Star Wars Audio Comics, which put this voice acting group together and also did the way of animating the different sections of the comics and bringing them in. They did a great job with this. I love the show feel to the opening and closing. The music used throughout the thing generally fit, I thought, pretty nicely. And again, can't emphasize enough, that voice cast was really good. So this video today was definitely a tale of two very different quality stories. While the Jar Jar arc is easily the worst Clone Wars arc I have seen since season 4, this Darth Maul arc would have been one of my favorites of the show. And again, man, I wish they had actually been made into an actual arc of the show. Dang. There are certainly some other arcs I would happily trade to have seen this one instead. Ah, well, what can you do, right? Well, next week's video, I will have the end of Season 6. And then after that, we're going to be headed into the final season of Clone Wars already. Wow. Coming soon to a home theater near you. And hey, well, what about you? What did you think about this Darth Maul arc? Have you read it? And are you as sad as I am that it didn't get made into a proper Clone Wars arc in the show? Let me know down below in the comments. And thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a like, share it with anyone you think will too, and don't forget to subscribe. I'll be back again tomorrow with another new episode for Freeform Disney. Have a magical day, and may the Force be with you always.